again to the Real Collective podcast. My name is Brendan McKeigan. With me, as always, is Sean Tasse, and we also have a guest today that we're going to tell you about in a minute. Before we get into it, if you're having a good time with the previous episodes and you fast forwarded and came back to this part, share it, like, share, subscribe, all that stuff on the YouTube, and download us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you want to talk to Sean or I about your own real estate needs, the very cliche for all your real estate needs, come to us. Our Calendly links are below. So if you just want to talk about buying or selling or whatever we're going to talk about today, those links are down there. Super easy. Pop it up, book an appointment. Bingo, bango, we're all done. We're going to get into it today. We have a guest on the show, Derek Hooper from Knokd.com. That's Knokd. All right. Derek, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here.
Right on. And Sean, how are you, my friend?
Living the dream. I am like the rest of the world, like we were talking about before we started recording, stuffy. I feel like everybody's stuffy. Not sleeping much, but hey, it is what it is. I'm excited to talk with Derek about the project he's been working on. I've probably known Derek for about 10 years now. I was given one of my very first real estate books by Derek's mom, and it's probably one of these books right behind me, or maybe I lent it out. I don't know.
Was it Selling Homes for Dummies?
No, it was the MREA. And it's been a great book. So Derek and I have been, like I said, we've been friends for probably easily 10 years. And Derek's a good guy, good mind, really, really great at client service. And Derek's also a realtor. One thing I learned from you, Derek, very early on was how to present information to clients with regards to looking at comparables. I remember one time I came down to your office and you were writing a big email and you're like, there's this property and a paragraph about each one, but it's different because of this, 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 and this. There's this property, but it's different because of this, 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 and this. And as a result, I think the fair market value for the property you want to offer on is this. So your client service is always stuck with me as something that is that does go above and beyond, and I think your clients probably think the same thing. So this other venture that we're talking about today, Knokd, is in that same vein in terms of, okay, well, how can I serve the general public and how can I serve agents? So why don't you jump in, tell us a little about yourself and tell us a little bit about Knokd.
Oh, thanks so much for that intro, guys. And you kind of took the wind out of my sails there. Like Knokd, it's a passion project for me and something I'm excited to talk about because I've taken my background in real estate and tried to build in the same service level into a platform that all my realtor colleagues can use with their clients. By way of kind of background, I'm a third generation realtor here in Ottawa. It started out 13 years ago in the business, and Knokd came about because I just saw an opportunity. I saw a miss in the market. So that's where we started saying, how can we solve for this? So Knokd is a platform that connects the off market. Realtors constantly are taking on exclusive listings, coming soon, properties that just aren't ready to go to the traditional MLS system yet. And that's where Knokd comes in. Before Knokd, those kinds of properties were kind of reserved for insiders, people that kind of were able to get in front of those interesting opportunities because there was no technology connecting them. So what we've done as a company is we've found a way to scour our realtor connections and merge it all into one feed that since our inception in April of this year, we've shared over 1,700 off-market listings on the platform. So we're really excited about it. And we think we've really found, a great fit for helping realtors deliver a better service for their clients.
And we think so too, right? That's why we wanted to unpack this a little bit more. And so tell us, like, how does it work? Because, as realtors, we have these little Facebook groups and we've got stuff like that show us what's going on. But it sounds like what you've built out is a little bit more robust.
That's it. Yeah, thanks. And good on you guys and your whole team for, seeing the same problem and wanting to solve for that with your clients. And we're really appreciative that you've come on board and, that you have that as an offering for your clients. by way of kind of just stepping back, like an exclusive listing, what is that? For the average person in the public, they might not be aware that there's even transactions happening before market. There's all kinds of reasons that a homeowner or a listing agent may choose to market a property off market. It could be privacy concerns. It could be some unique requirement of the sale, be it a long closing or a special kind of buyer. It could be just skipping the staging and repairs or testing a price. And of course, there's a whole cohort of buyers that would love to see those properties. This is their biggest decision, probably financially, of their life, and they want to know that they got the right place. So before Knokd, those kinds of listings were really shared in agent-only groups, and they were, requiring the agent to have their specific buyer top of mind while they're reading, say, a Facebook post or an email that's just come in among the other 100 emails from that day. And it was a very cumbersome process. The agent would then have to screenshot, crop out the unnecessary information, send it off to their client. And there was just a very manual process that basically was prohibiting this market from becoming more efficient and more accessible to the average buyer and the average consumer. So that's where Knokd comes in. So like I said, we've got an automation that scours the several sources for off markets. We merge them into a singular property feed that updates the agents on a daily basis, called the morning briefing. And the really cool and transformative part of this product that just is the lifesaver for the agents and what creates that instant access for the buyers is we've now given the ability for the agent to set up their own clients on a property search, so that if any off markets hit their criteria, they get blasted the email right away and they're in the know. So we're really trying to create a simpler flow for the agents, create more exposure for the off market, and really give access to the everyday buyer to these off market opportunities.
When I very first started, my first 2 years I spent exclusively working with buyers, and what I realized was the way that MLS is set up, it's one-sided, right? So the sellers say, "Hey, I've got this thing. Come and get it." But there was no way for the buyer to turn up and say, "Hey, I want this thing," and for the sellers to say, "Oh, okay, cool, yeah, I've got that," right? And so the way the MLS system is inherently built is very lopsided. It's very seller focused, and so from what we've talked about in the past, we're what you're doing with Knokd is sort of solving the one-sidedness of it. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like going into Canadian Tire and buying a bike. This is like a hugely important decision for a buyer. And the market today is very much about, okay, you've got a time frame to buy within. Here's the available options. And it kind of just ignores everything off market. It's just like, this is all there is. We feel that, with the uniqueness of our feed, and it's a much more approachable type of selling situation for many homeowners that want to come to us and say, okay, like, we will test it out, because they don't feel they've jumped off the cliff that is the MLS. And by the way, MLS is amazing. It's where the majority of transactions are happening. And at the end of the day, every client has a different need, but there are some sellers that really would benefit from being able to just see what's out there. So what we've also been able to do with that is, because we know what our buyers are looking for, when we get homeowners coming into our platform saying, we're thinking of testing the market, what do you have for me? We're able to tell them, okay, we've got Sean Tasse. He's got 3 clients looking for something like your property. We've got this agent and that many buyers. So we're able to give a little bit of a reverse prospecting type, experience for a homeowner that just wants to have some really targeted conversations with the right kind of motivated buyers, just to see, is this realistic, and am I going to sell or not?
Yeah. And we'll get into this a little bit more in the second half, but of course there's this thought or this idea that, oh, well, all of the best deals sell before they make it to MLS, and that's therefore anti-competitive. And Korea's got a new legislation coming down the line to ensure that we aren't anti-competitive. And just to really like reiterate this, the idea of this system is not about removing competition. It's about bringing people together who have a different need than might be on MLS, right? And I think it's a bit of a fine line to walk between, some agents are viewed as, they just want to double it, right? They want to pick up their own buyer, sell their own house, and get the full pull. Versus, I don't think that's the philosophy that this is coming from. This is more of a philosophy of bringing different people together, right?
No, that's exactly it. And that's a really great observation. So the whole idea is that we're trying to solve for that and provide the inclusivity. I think the better way to frame it is, MLS is just kind of visible to absolutely everybody, including your looky-loo neighbors and things like that really aren't maybe buyers that are serious about pursuing. They're just interested in knowing what's going on in their neighborhood, and who doesn't want to know? Like I totally sympathize with that. But some homeowners would actually rather just put their property in front of the 5 or 6 buyers that really are like potential candidates for making an offer. So that's what we're doing is instead of this ongoing situation pre-Knokd that is just very much about being an insider or being lucky enough to find it, like the coming soon sign goes up and you happen to drive down the street that week. Instead, we've merged all of the searches and the buyers into one audience, and it's the ones that have been brought in by agents and they're qualified and they're ready to go, and it's really giving unprecedented access and unprecedented exposure for the off market.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it's really cool. I think it's a good solution. Honestly, I see it being bought by like Korea or something like this system. Like down the road. I don't think that's why you're doing it, but I could see it being a piece that is purchased in some form or another.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just a lot more conducive than having to go through Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji and, like you said, driving down the street. Like, you're essentially a Google for off-market homes, and it's a great tool for people to use when they've seen everything, and maybe buyers when they feel like they have some buyer fatigue. They feel like they've seen everything, or they're just getting discouraged because what they want's not on the market. Well, maybe it's not on the market, but it's and it's an exclusive listing that's right there on Knokd. So it seems like it would just be that much more beneficial and open up some options, and maybe you find that kind of hidden gem.
That's it. And that's the goal. We want to help some homeowners have a simpler, smoother selling process, and some buyers that are going to find their dream home before it hit the market.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. Well, we'll take a quick break there. In the second half, we'll discuss some FAQs, maybe more about the product and the service and that kind of thing, and how people can set themselves up with it, and really get into the nitty-gritty of it. So we'll take a quick break. Listen to one of our sponsors. Again, like, subscribe, and share. Download us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you want to talk to Sean or I, book an appointment in the Calendly links below. We'll be right back.
This episode of the Real Collective podcast is brought to you by Real Collective. Real Collective brings together best-in-class real estate agents and collective experts in the field to deliver the best possible service to our clients. We govern ourselves with honesty, open-mindedness, and compassion. With diverse skill sets, our agents are able to better serve a wide array of clients, including first-time buyers, first-time sellers, transferees, estate sales, investors, and rural, vacation, and luxury properties. Authenticity and transparency are pillars of our process, which allows us to put our clients at the center of everything we do. Our years of experience and knowledge allow us to deliver prestigious service and optimal results. If you are interested in buying or selling your home, contact us today at realcollective.ca.
Welcome back, everybody, to the RCP. We're here in the second half with Derek Cooper from Knokd.com. We're going to get into some FAQs, a little bit more of the nitty-gritties and kind of what to expect. We talked a little bit in the first half about what the platform is, how it came about, and it being something digital. That's got to be, from its inception to its creation, like there's got to be such an evolution process that goes on with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the concept is something that it's been top of mind for me for many years. And really at the root of it is connecting the off market and making really meaningful introductions. So that's always been a core value of Knokd and what I've been trying to accomplish with it. We actually went to market last year with our first product. It was a boutique product for singular brokerage, where we really were in a sandbox testing out what worked, what didn't, and that resulted in a pivot to really the product that you see today. So there's been a lot of learning of like how to tackle this problem, and we think we've really landed on something that's being well received by the community now.
Yeah. So how do, like, if let's say a buyer wanted to go and find an off-market property, how does that work? Or if a seller wanted to find out, what kind of buyers are looking for my place, can I maybe sell it off market? How would that work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, we've got Knokd.com, that is Knokd.com. It's got information for buyers and sellers, but really what we're trying to do is ask them to reach out to their own agent, or ask their agent to become a part of Knokd. So, I mean, the Real Collective, of course, is already part of Knokd. So the easiest way to tap into that network is to reach out to one of you two and just get it started. You guys can have a search set up in a matter of minutes, and that's really the fastest way.
Easy. And we've done that for a number of our clients already, where we've got buyers who are set up on searches. And I know that one of the scour that you guys do is we've got our little exclusives page. But we alluded to it earlier that there's a bit of a rule change that's coming down the pipe. And that might actually have an effect on what you guys are doing. So can you unpack the rules and sort of what that means, and then sort of as a second step, you might have to pivot again, right? And what is that going to look like for you guys?
Absolutely. And very timely podcast here to have this discussion, because this really hit my desk at the start of this week. The Canadian Real Estate Association has just announced a new policy to sort of regulate the exclusive and coming soon market. So what you're going to see effective January 1st across Canada, realtors will no longer be able to publicly market a coming soon or exclusive listing for more than 72 hours prior to an MLS launch. So what that means is the minute you see a coming soon sign on the lawn, or really any organized real estate brokerage sign on the lawn, it will be on MLS within 72 hours or is already on MLS. No ifs, ands, or buts, because it's now got the public exposure. So this is really going to change the way realtors, market their exclusives, because the need for exclusives hasn't changed. Those privacy things we talked about earlier, the special circumstances of a sale, it's going to force the industry to really have to rethink, what are we doing to get exposure for those sellers that have a need for that off-market exposure. So it's definitely a hot topic right now. I think still the industry is catching up and learning of it. And so you're going to see it become a very common kind of discussion point among the members of the community. And for buyers out there, it likely means, until there's a wider scale adoption of something like the Knokd platform, where it can actually create these compliant networks for the off market. It could mean there's going to be a little bit of a gap or break where they're not going to be able to see these until the industry kind of finds a way to solve for it.
I think a few things that sort of jumped into my mind is it's going to be a really great selling tool for larger brokerages, because we're still allowed to share our exclusive and coming soon listings within the brokerage. We're just not allowed to share them to the general public. So I feel like CREA is trying to solve a problem of making things fair across the board. But I think that this solution, and again, I'm not a policymaker, I'm just thinking about all the different things. I think the solution actually does a disservice to the general public, because now, thankfully the brokerage that we're at is one of the largest brokerages in the city, and one of the largest brokerages in actually, I think it's the biggest Remax brokerage in the world, which is cool. I think that it's going to be a great selling feature to bring other agents to larger brokerages. And I think you might see some of the smaller brokerages falling off, right? Because they're missing that element of the value proposition. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe not, right? The general public might not understand how all of the dynamics necessarily work. So the other thing I see coming down is like fake brokerages, or like maybe not a brokerage, but like an unregulated platform, right? That isn't because I think what you're working on is going to be playing within the rules. And I think that there might be other people who come down the line, like we saw earlier this year with a new upstart company, and are willing to play outside of the rules. And so you might see that happen a little bit more. So it'll be interesting to see how all of this shakes down.
Well, like you said there, yeah, go ahead, Brendan.
I feel like there's just going to be pushback from realtors. I don't think 3 days is enough to have an exclusive listing. That's basically just putting out a yard sale on a Friday, that like a sign for a yard sale on Friday. Yeah. Like, oh, good, there's a yard sale tomorrow. That this is a house, and if people have seen everything, give them at least a week. Like, I don't know what kind of arbitrary setting they decided. 3 days, 72 hours. Like, it just, I think you're going to get a lot of pushback from realtors via clients, that they're like, well, why can't we advertise this sooner? I want this, I want this, I want this. So I'm hoping that's what realtors do, is don't just smile and nod at things, and actually stand up or send an email and says, this is kind of ridiculous. Like, we're doing disservice to people by not being able.
Well, I think there's always that cause and effect, like you said, Sean. Like, obviously, CREA comes from good intentions with trying to make sure there's fairness out there, and there are certainly good reasons for that. But then there's other effects, like the bigger brokerages maybe get bigger because they're going to have larger networks to actually create real value for the off markets. And coming back to what we're doing as Knokd, I actually feel like this policy has really strengthened our go-to-market and our value proposition, because we can drop a network in that's going to be humming and working and fair for everybody that's associated with that brokerage. And so, there's some limitations. You've got to fence in the brokerage to some extent to because there's not allowed to be public marketing until it's inside the 3-day window. But there's other little ways, and we feel like we've got a really unique perspective, and that we're well positioned to actually offer a solution that keeps up that equality and access for those that really need it.
Yeah, because it's not just the agents in the brokerage who can receive that email. All of those agents can tag their clients, and the clients can see all of the brokerage coming soon listing. So again, it almost is going to force more, not a monopoly, but it's going to force more. I think it's going to force more people into bigger spots. I love that your pivot has sort of already happened, that you're like, oh, okay, well, we can solve for this. So instead of working at the board level, we're now working at the individual brokerage level, right? And the same platform, just, I don't know, man. It feels like they're trying to solve a problem, and good on them for it, because, you say, oh, well, it's detrimental for our clients, devil's advocate. Well, it's detrimental to the general public, if they don't have, proper representation or a really great agent, they're missing out on these deals, right? And so, there's a part of me that says, well, then hire a good agent. But it's
well, I think that the kinds of brokerages that will adopt a network like what Knokd can do, which will obviously be, compliant and having, the inclusivity as a core principle, those brokerages will be demonstrating to the public that they have well-trained agents that are really, trying to provide a larger value proposition, larger offering for their sellers and for their buyers, and the brokerages will be able to really enforce those kinds of education for like the seller, like understand what does an exclusive mean. Is an exclusive right for you? It's not right for every seller, it's not right for every listing, but making sure that there is a forum and a place for it when it's an appropriate situation, it really helps everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, the more I think about it, I'm thinking about it from your perspective. I'm like, oh, well, now you can just sell what you've built to like every brokerage across Canada. Like I just feel like you just like one-upped your marketability.
I mean, I think it helps narrow the focus, and it helps give a parameter that, we were maybe already trying to define, and they've really boxed it in a little more narrow than we were trying to do. But there's always a solution, right? And so we've got some really great ideas on it. And instead of having conversations with individual agents, now we're shifting the focus to the managing brokers and the broker owners to say, hey, like let's get it Knokd into your office.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Sounds like kind of sounds like a no-brainer. That would be the hope, but
I got one more question. And I know, Brendan, you're ready to wrap it up. Every time I go to spell Knokd, it really confuses me. How did you come up with the name?
That's a great question. I wanted something that was housing related. I wanted something that kind of presented a proactive approach to the search, like a knocking on a door, which many of us realtors have done at some point in our career or may still be doing. And I wanted it to be a little bit fun. So we took a couple letters out of it, landed on Knokd, and rolls off the tongue pretty nicely.
Sounds like a German pencil company or something.
There you go.
I just like that it's kind of like the real estate version of Punked.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
If anyone's looking how to spell it, it's kind of like that. Knokd''. So you can find it there on Knokd.com. We are going to wrap it up. Derek, that's probably the best way to find you, I guess, is Knokd.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Find our contact info there. Thank you.
Awesome. So go down to the contact page on Knokd.com, Knokd.com. And until the next one, we're going to wrap things up here. Please like, subscribe, and share this channel and page. We would be very appreciative. And if you want to book an appointment with Sean or I, the Calendly links are below. And if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, we appreciate it. And if you're not, you can be. So go and download us there. That would be great. Next time, we're going to maybe have someone else. We'll see. It'll be a great time. But thank you again, Derek, for being on the show today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And until the next one, keep it real.
Collective.